I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. And if you celebrate it at this time of year, a very happy new year to you. I actually don't. If you've watched some of my videos before, you will know that I tend to do New Year sort of things in October or sometimes in spring because pagan. But we love the New Year energy anyway. We love everybody getting involved in the whole fresh start feeling. I really like that. I did a whole video last week, and I probably talked for far too long in it, about how you are perfectly fine just the way you are. Just because the calendar has changed doesn't mean that you have to change. You are doing great. You are doing more than great. You are surviving through a pandemic and a cost of living crisis, an energy crisis, climate crisis, all these different crises going on, and look at you still plodding along, doing your thing, getting there. I'm proud of you, even if you aren't proud of yourself. You are doing just great. I'm not going to rehash the whole video that I did last week. I will just quickly summarise and say all these different companies, beauty companies, exercise companies, owners of gyms, all these different places, they all do the same thing. They convince you that you are unhappy or lacking or missing something in some way, and then they tell you they've got the solution for it. None of that is going to make you happy. I promise. None of it's going to make you happy. You don't need anything like that to make you happy. Happiness comes from the inside, and you don't need to change. You are doing just great, just the way you are. However, if you have been wanting to make some changes in your life for a little while now, this can be a really good time of year to get involved and get on that, because you've got other people around that are also setting New Year goals, that are also trying new things out, that are also trying to develop new skills or lose a bit of weight or quit smoking or something like that, and it will make you feel less alone in it. So if you, not anybody else, not companies, not family, not friends that like to criticise you, if you personally want to make some changes in your life, I'm going to tell you how to make it just a little tiny bit easier on yourself. Now, from a personal perspective, I think January is the worst time to try and make any sort of changes in your life. Because, like I said in my Boxing Day video, you want to hibernate. And it's natural to want to hibernate at this time of year. It's cold, it's dark, it's miserable. I don't think that's a great time to start depriving yourself of things that you really enjoy, because you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. Imagine if I wanted to lose a lot of weight. I said, I'm going to start a diet. I'm going to go vegan. Right? I'm going to go all out. And then I decide to start that at a time of year when my house is still full of leftover food and snacks from Christmas. It's icy outside. It's dark in the mornings. It's dark in the evenings. It's cold. It's wet. It's miserable. By doing that, I feel like I'm then setting myself up for failure. And then I'm going to feel bad because I didn't manage to do the thing, because I set myself this impossible goal. And then I'm just going to feel even worse about myself than I did before. Like, it doesn't seem very sensible to me. But like I said with my Stop Smoking video before, and with my National Novel Writing Month one, sometimes having other people doing something at the same time as you can actually act as a little motivator. And so my first tip for if you are trying to do the whole New Year's resolution things is don't do too many, right? Because if you live a very sedentary lifestyle and you eat quite a lot of chocolate and cheese, that's what you live on, cheese on toast and chocolate bars, right? And you don't do very much, and you've never learnt a new skill before, like since you've left school, you don't really have any idea how to pick up a new skill. If you then come at yourself with a list that says, I am going to lose half my body weight, run a marathon in 6 months' time, I'm going to learn a new language, I'm going to learn a new instrument. No, you're not going to do any of those things, are you, babe? Because what's going to happen is you're going to be so overwhelmed by all these new things that you're desperate to do that you're going to fail at one. And then that's going to give you the, oh, what's the point of anything? I'm just rubbish feeling. And then that's reinforcing this story of failure that you are telling yourself. I'm a strong believer that you are the author of your own story. And so all of the thought patterns that you have, all of the emotions that you have, they are under your control. Now, we can't control what challenges we face in our life. We can't control what kind of assholes that we meet. We can't control what kind of adversity that we are going to face. But we can control how we respond and react to that. And we can control our own internal narrative. And that is probably the most important thing. I might have touched on this on my stop smoking video, I don't know. But if, say you are a smoker and you're looking to give up smoking, if you think of yourself as a smoker, and each time that you've tried to quit and you've failed to quit, you've then said to yourself, oh, well, that's just me, isn't it? I'm just a smoker. I'm just somebody that is always going to smoke. I'm not good at giving stuff up. I haven't got the willpower. You're reinforcing all these ideas to yourself, but actually that is just your internal voice. So you can change what that says. It takes practice. It's hard to do. If you're used to telling yourself that you're rubbish, then actually correcting yourself and saying, no, I'm really good, actually. I'm trying my best. I'm bringing it every day. Just a little slip back doesn't mean a total failure, actually. It will take a while to change your internal narrative, obviously, because up until your life at this point, your internal narrative has been negative. But as you start to forcibly change it to a positive narrative, eventually that will become your default setting. I can't let this coffee go cold because it's the last of the coffee. What we're going to do, instead of trying to do all of the things and become a vegan marathon running yoga master by this time next year, what we're going to do is pick one goal and we're going to work on that one first. We're going to lock it in as a habit and then we're going to move on to the next goal, because I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but you're allowed to make a goal at any time of the year. It does not have to be on New Year's. So pick one of your goals, but it's important to pick carefully, okay? You want to come from a loving place within yourself when you're choosing this goal. So don't say to yourself, I'm going to lose 10 pounds because my mum really thinks that I should, and she keeps making these comments about my weight. Instead, choose something like, I'm going to learn to paint because I always wanted to. Something that comes from a loving and joyful place within yourself, something that is a self-care thing. Now, that might be losing weight for you. It might be that you have felt for a long time that you need to lose some weight, that you are not maybe able to move as much as you would want to, or you're uncomfortable in yourself and you want to lose a little bit of weight because you love yourself and you want to feel like healthy and strong again. That's grand. If you want to put on weight because you love yourself and you want to feel healthy and strong again, that's great. Choose that as a goal. But if your only reason for doing a thing is because other people think you should, it's going to be much, much harder for you to get the consistency that you need to make that a part of your life. When we're choosing something new, whether that's a new skill to learn or a new lifestyle choice, like quitting smoking, like changing our diets, all these sorts of things, it's much more easy if it's something that we really, really want to do. And secondly, it's much more easy if, instead of thinking it as one big change, we think of it as little gradual changes that we can incorporate into our daily life. So if I were looking to start moving again after a period of being very sedentary and very still, I would start off very, very small. I wouldn't suddenly go out running because that would be ridiculous. In fact, that is what happened to me. Okay, so ages ago, I smoked very, very heavily. I mentioned this in my introductory video, so again, I won't rehash, but after I quit smoking, I did become much more active, to the point where teenage me wouldn't know me now. She wouldn't believe that I could actually look forward to and enjoy exercising, but I do now. I never thought that that was going to be me. I was always like, I'm just not a runner. I'm just not a cardio person. I'm just not a very active person. I'm really more creative than athletic. And that was all the story I was just telling myself as well. What actually happened was that I needed to find something that was not too difficult for me to start with, and then something that I enjoyed. And so I started off exercising on my sofa while I was watching telly. That sounds whoa, but it works for me. So I got some resistance bands. They're quite cheap. You can get them for just a £5 or so on like Amazon and places like that. But as well, if you wait until February, people will be selling all the exercise gear anyway. So just get it then on the cheap on eBay. But it looks like a giant elastic band, and you can pull it to help build up your arm muscles. You can loop it around your arms and just like this whilst you're watching telly. You can do the same on your legs again while you're watching telly. Put it around your knees and just squeeze in and out. And it's a way to start building up a little bit of muscle. I don't really use them anymore because I've progressed on to weights from them. But it is a really good, if you've never done any kind of exercise, resistance bands are brilliant because they are low impact. They're not going to hurt your joints. You're not going to get all huffed and puffed and sweating. It's not cardio. It's just giving your muscles some gentle resistance to work against so that you can slowly start to build up your strength. So that was the first thing that I did. And like I said, I did that on my sofa, watching telly. It didn't feel like exercise at all. And I kept them where I could see them. So that after I sat down in the evenings, I'd just pick that up and just gently do a few. Not enough to exhaust myself, not enough to make myself ache, just a few. And each time I did it, I think that's not real exercise, but it is. You don't have to do a massive, great, big, time-consuming workout to do exercise. You can do little bits within your day, and that's what I started to do. So after I got into the habit of doing my resistance bands in the evenings while I was watching telly, I then started doing things like I stopped getting in lifts and started just using the stairs. And in places where I already would use the stairs, like my home, I started to run up the stairs instead of walking up the stairs whenever I could. Not if I was like carrying a child or lots of things, or if that would have been in any way unsafe. And not every single time either, but just occasionally. And then as I built up through that, I then started doing things like when I put the kettle on or put the toaster on, I would see how many squats can I do, just bodyweight squats, in my kitchen whilst I'm waiting for that to pop. And I used to like to see that they were building up over time. I started off, I could do 3. And then like by the end of that week, I could do 7. And that was amazing because that was more than double. That's fantastic. And so I gradually built it up like that. After a time, I was starting to feel that all of that stuff was quite easy. And so I started going out on brisk walks. And at first I couldn't brisk walk for very long. And so I would brisk walk and then slow walk and brisk walk and then slow walk. And at that point, that's when I bought my first ever pair of trainers. Because up until then, I only had high-heeled girly trainers that were not for exercising in. And it felt really weird to me to be buying trainers for exercise because that was just never something that I was ever going to spend my money on. Before that, I was a lazy person and that is how I saw myself. And as I started doing the brisk walking, and once I bought that pair of trainers, I started to think maybe I could be into fitness. Maybe sedentary lifestyle isn't who I am. And once I started to change that internal narrative, I started to see changes in me really, really quickly. Once I could do the walking without getting too breathless, because as well, my lungs were improving from quitting smoking a sort of year before at that point. I then started doing Couch to 5K, which is a free thing through the NHS, but I'm sure you can probably access it from anywhere in the world. And it is a program that is designed to take you from doing absolutely no exercise whatsoever to being able to run 5 kilometers, 3.5 miles, I think it is. It was difficult at first as well, because at first you're only running for 1 minute. You run for 1 minute and then you walk for 3 minutes or something like that, and you've got this app that tells you when to start walking, when to start running. It gives you encouragement and stuff, which is lovely. I found that first minute running really, really hard, and I was so embarrassed of myself that I had found that so hard, that I was so out of breath from 1 minute running, that 1 minute felt like I thought my clock had stopped. I thought something had crashed. It felt so long. And then 12 weeks later, there I was being able to comfortably run a mile, and that was just amazing to me. If you're a fitness sort of person who does a lot of exercise anyway, that will sound rubbish to you, yeah, that I was proud of being able to run a mile. But I'm still proud of that first mile that I ran. That was the most important mile I've ever run. Now, it turned out that running wasn't really for me. I ended up getting really bad knee injuries really quite often. But I realised by that point that actually after I had run, even though I'd be achy, sweaty and dying, every time I came home my husband would be like, how was it? And I'd say, I'm dying. Despite all that, my mood was so much better. I had so much more energy. I was waking up in the morning and just getting out of bed without having to lay there for half an hour going, oh no, please God, no, not today, which was how I always did mornings before that. Suddenly I had energy. Suddenly I was able to just wake up. Suddenly I was getting much better quality sleep. And so I didn't want to give up on exercise completely. So at that point I took up swimming, and I really, really enjoyed swimming. I went once a week. When I'd taken the children to school, it was just me and a bunch of old ladies, and it was lovely. Really, really liked that. It was decent cardio. It was a little bit of resistance. I was then lifting weights at home. I was given a full barbell set. It's like third hand, is probably older than I am, but it does the job, hey, it's heavy. And I got some little dumbbell, and I started doing a bit of lifting at home, bit of swimming, really, really liked that. Then the pandemic hit, and I didn't want to keep going swimming because, like I said, it was just me and all these old ladies. Now, I've got 4 children, they're all in school, they're bringing home all sorts of bugs. At the very beginning of the pandemic, we did think that elderly people were the most vulnerable to it. And also, swimming pool, it's moist, it's humid, it is the perfect breeding ground for all kinds of bacteria. And so I just stopped going. I didn't want to be responsible for the demise of one of my little old lady friends. And so I just carried on with the weights at home. I didn't want to give up completely. Obviously still walking, not really running anymore because of my bad knee. Did try it out again for a little while, but it didn't really work. And so during the pandemic, I thought what I really want to do is do something that really challenges me and puts me out of my comfort zone, because I've been really cooped up for quite a long time. But I also really do want to find a new form of exercise. I looked at a couple of different types of things, ended up going to a pole dance class just to see what it was like and push myself out of my comfort zone, really. I didn't expect to go back. I didn't think I would like it. Completely fell in love with it. It's a form of exercise that doesn't feel at all like exercise to me. At the time, I don't notice that I'm aching, sweating, out of breath, any of those things, even though I am, because it's too fun, and I'm having too much fun. I'm chatting to all the new people that I've met there. They're all lovely. It's such a supportive group, honestly. And so I would say if like becoming more active is one of your goals, and why wouldn't it be, really, because strong is sexy AF. If getting more active, more strong, more healthy is one of your goals, try and find a form of exercise that doesn't feel like exercise until the next day, because that is the way that you will guarantee that you're going to keep going back, you're going to keep doing it. If you can find something that you truly love, it doesn't feel like work. If you're looking to get more active, if there are taster sessions of various different types of classes and different sports and things like that around you, go and take as many different taster classes as you can, because you will find something in there that is really, really fun. Whether it's some kind of dance class, whether it's pole dance class, whether it's, boot camp type exercises or cycling, or you will find something that doesn't feel like exercise while you're doing it. And when you wake up the next day and go, oh yeah, no, that was exercise actually, that's when you know you've hit the right track. Because if you find something that you're really passionate about, really love and really enjoy, you're going to find it really, really easy to carry on doing it. Most important thing to remember after you've found something that you really love to do is to make sure that you do take it slowly. Because if you find this new sport that you love, say you join a netball class and you love it, it is the best thing, you never expected to enjoy it this much, so you start going 4 or 5 times a week straight away. In 6 months' time, you're going to be saying, I really love doing that, but I haven't been able to because I injured myself really, really badly. Because if you start off slow, go once a week, build yourself up slowly to twice a week, 3 times a week, cross training, you're going to find that you've got something that you can love for an entire lifetime. Now, a lot of my chat so far has been very weight focused, and I really do deeply apologise for that. Mostly the reason that this conversation has been very weight focused is because all of the January marketing is very weight focused, isn't it? And so a lot of you will be thinking about that at the moment. And like I said in my last video, they're doing it to you on purpose. They're making you feel bad so that you will buy their crap, right? And you don't need to. You're fine the way you are. But if you are doing weight focused goals or health and active focused goals, then there is a healthy way to do that and an unhealthy way to do that. Okay, so your focus should be on strong, not on skinny. Your focus should be on healthy, not on depriving yourself. Yeah, it's all got to come from a place of love within yourself if you are going to be successful at this thing. Like, I've mentioned a couple of times that I'm vegetarian. Did I go vegetarian overnight? Nope. For me, going vegetarian again, it wasn't... Actually, I did do that at New Year. I forgot about that. But it wasn't a sudden change in the same way. What I did was I decided that I wanted to eat a bit less meat. And I thought what I would do is I will eat meat about once a week or so. And there was a few reasons for that, like the climate things and the health things. Mainly it was because I live in the UK. We've got Brexit going on. That means a lot of our food standards are slipping. And I thought if we eat meat less often, then I will be able to afford to buy better quality meat, better welfare standards, all that sort of thing. And so I decided I was going to cut my meat consumption down to once a week. But on the first week, I didn't fancy any meat. And then, so I didn't end up eating meat until I had been veggie for about a month. And then I did, and it was horrible. I mean, it tasted bad, but I think that was unlucky. I just happened to have a bad burger. So I had this burger. The next day I felt bloated, sluggish and poorly. And so after that, I didn't really fancy eating meat anymore. I didn't really crave it. I never said to myself I won't eat meat anymore. I thought to myself, oh, I'll eat some meat if I fancy it. But it's been a couple of years. I think it's been 4 or 5 years now. I still don't fancy it. And now it's started to smell bad to me. Like at first when I was vegetarian, meat cooking still smelled good. But now it smells quite horrid to me. And raw meat, especially raw chicken, smells really bad to me. It smells like a dead bird to me, because that's what it is. So on my accents video, I talked about being able to smell chicken and how it smells like a dead bird to me. And my friend Barefoot Backpacker said, chicken doesn't smell. Because of course Barefoot Backpacker eats chicken, it's used to the smell. But to me it smells really, really quite strong now. And so our bodies do adapt and change, even if we make quite small changes. And whether we're talking about food, whether we're talking about exercise, you know, any big changes that you make to your body, if it's sudden, your body is going to be a bit shocked by that. And so if we can just introduce these things nice and gradual, makes it so much easier on our bodies. Now, I did touch on putting weight on as well back there. And I know that my focus has been on losing weight. Like I say, January vibes, isn't it? Everybody wants you to lose weight. But actually, underweight can be incredibly unhealthy for you. Back when I was 17, I was only 8 stone. You could count all my ribs, I had concave boobs, the whole 9 yards, right? I was not more healthier than I am now. I was a lot less healthy than I am now. But now, I have got quite a bit of meat on my bones. You know, I'm not overweight. I don't like that term, to be honest, because over what weight? But, you know, I'm not very, very heavy. I couldn't tell you how much I weigh because I don't have scales in my house, because what are they for? If my jeans fit, I'm fine, right? But now that I have got a bit more meat on my bones, I've got a bit more chunkiness on me. I'm more of a chunky chip than a skinny fry now, right? I'm so much healthier. 17-year-old me couldn't lift 10 stone in a deadlift. I can. 17-year-old me couldn't have run 5k. I can. 17-year-old me couldn't swim, couldn't pull her body weight up on a pole, couldn't do half the things that I do, because I'm stronger now. And that is why I think it's really, really important to focus not on your weight, not even on your body shape, but on your strength, on your health. How out of breath am I feeling doing this? Am I able to walk further or walk faster than I could before without getting out of breath? Am I able to lift things heavy? Do I feel strong? Do I feel powerful? Do I feel confident? And for me especially, that is what made me feel confident. My confidence is not tied to my weight anymore. It is tied to what my body can do. And I think that that is a mindset that a lot of people could do with getting into. Forget about how your body looks. Think about how your body works, because you are trapped in your body for your entire life. And I tell you what, when you're 80, it's not going to matter how pretty you are. It's going to really matter how dense your bones are, how strong your muscles are, how good your balance and your flexibility is. Focus on strength, focus on power, focus on feeling healthy, and you will start to feel energized. Your skin will start to glow. You will start to feel so much better. Now, I've spent ages now talking about health and diet and bodies, and none of that is really what I wanted to talk about, because our goals don't have to just be about what our bodies are doing. You know, we can have all sorts of goals in our life. One of the things that I picked up a couple of years ago, I really wanted to learn a language. I had always wanted to learn a language, but I always thought that I wasn't the sort of person that could learn a language. I'm not the sort of person that can study for fun. I'm not that kind of person. But we know how I do things now, so we did it in baby steps. And actually, I use Duolingo, not sponsored by them, although if they want to sponsor me, cool. It's free. There is a premium version which does allow you to learn a little bit faster, but the free version is absolutely more than adequate. It's what I use. I only ever use their premium version when I get a free trial of it. It is something that I'm really surprised that I managed to stick at, and I have managed to stick at it for more than 600 days, I think now, and I've done it every single day. But it was making it part of my routine that has made me be consistent with it. And so, whereas before I would decide that I wanted to learn a language, I would really immerse myself in it for a couple of days, then I'd ignore it for a week or two, then I'd wonder, why can't I remember any of the stuff that I learned before? Whereas doing it on Duolingo, because you do it daily, it sort of gamifies your learning for you. You earn little badges and you get a little streak, and people can see how long you've been doing a streak for and all this sort of thing. It does make it sort of a bit more fun, a bit more manageable. And it meant that I could just slot it into my daily routine, because I knew it wasn't going to take me more than 15 minutes unless I wanted it to. And so now when my youngest goes to bed, first thing I do when I come downstairs, I do my Duolingo. If I can't be bothered that day, I'll go back to the beginning, I'll do basics 1, and I think that probably is still teaching me stuff, because I'm cementing it in my mind more. It's meaning that I'm being more fluent, being able to recognise these things more quickly. It is also keeping my streak alive so that I feel like I've achieved something. And now that I've got to a point of having a really high streak, I now don't want to ruin that either. So it's an extra layer of motivation in there for me to get my lesson done. As I said, not sponsored by me, but I will link it in the description for you. And I think if you join through my link, then we both maybe get 2 weeks premium for free or something like that. But either way, as I said, you don't need the premium version. The free version works absolutely fine. And it is an easy way to slot that into your daily routine, which means that you can then tick off learn a language as your sort of New Year goals by just spending 5 minutes a day on it. And we've all got 5 minutes. You can do it on the loo. It's not, I mean, maybe not at work unless you mute it. But that is the other good thing about Duolingo actually, is that you can do that. So sometimes it will give you speaking exercises or listening exercises, and sometimes you'll have to pick words out of a word bank, and sometimes you'll have to type the words in. But if you are on the train trying to do it or something like that, you can press a button that says, I can't talk right now, I can't listen right now, and you can just do the written ones instead. That's quite handy as well. And Duolingo will give you a daily notification if you ask it to remind you to do your practice. And so I set it up so that it reminds me at the time of day that I would normally be doing it, so that I don't forget. It helped me cement that little habit in. I probably don't need that notification anymore, because I very rarely forget to do my Duolingo now, because it has become part of my life and my routine for so long. But when you're first starting out, it's helpful to have those little reminders to keep doing a thing. So yeah, if you're learning a language because you've always wanted to learn a language and you really think that that would bring you joy, doing something like Duolingo, I'm sure there are other apps available, but I don't know about them. It is a really good way to sort of ease your way in. So yeah, with the Duolingo thing, much like with the exercise thing or any other thing, 5 minutes per day, every day, is going to be way more effective than working your ass off for an hour and then not doing anything for a week, right? That's for your brain, it's for your body, everything about how humans are, I will die on this hill, works better if you teach in small incremental steps. You didn't get up one day and just learn to walk, did you? You had to learn to crawl, and then you had to learn to pull yourself up, and then you had to take your wobbly first stand, and only eventually could you take those first steps. You had to fall a lot of times. As long as you are still trying, you are not failing, okay? As long as you are having a go, you are not failing. If you forget a thing one day, it's not the end of the world. Go back the next day. Keep going, keep trying, bring your best next time. You can do it if you really, really want to do it. And as you know, I think that small steps philosophy also applies to giving up smoking, but I'm not going to go into a whole how to give up smoking thing in this video. If you are watching this thinking that you would like to give up smoking for New Year and you don't quite know where to start, I have got a video on how I quit smoking and how I did that in tiny incremental steps as well. And I will link that in the description for you too, just in case you will find something of that useful as well. I hope that the main takeaway that you take from this video is that you don't have to change anything, okay? You're doing just fine the way you are. The old you is great. Why are you bagging on the old you? The old you is brilliant. Look at how far it's got you. Look at all the stuff that the old you has got you through. The old you did the best that they could at the time that they had. The new you isn't going to be any different person. It's still the same you. And by all means, you can tinker under the hood and, you know, around the edges and make small, tiny little incremental changes that's going to add up to a much happier life for you. But there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. And every single advert around it this time of year is going to try and convince you that there is something wrong with you. That you're too fat or too skinny or too wrinkly or too spotty, or you don't move enough, or you don't have a good enough job, or all of those things, and none of it is true. They're trying to convince you that you are unhappy just so that you will buy crap from them. But I promise you, you are great just the way you are. And I'm so, so proud of you and how far you have come. And I'm so, so proud of how far you're going to go too. I'm really sorry that I've had such a boring background for this video. I do try and move about a bit in my videos. And you know, I probably could have done some weights or something while I was talking to you, but honestly, it's January, I'm in hibernation mode, and I couldn't be bothered. But I will try and make it a little bit more interesting for you next week. So join me on Monday for my next vlog. As I'm filming this, I have absolutely no idea, once again, what I'm going to be vlogging about. Find out with me. But that happens a lot on this channel, doesn't it? I'm sure I'll work something out by then. If you can't bear to wait a whole week, I understand. I will be here every day, as always, in the shorts, letting you know what I am grateful for today and taking a big, deep breath so I can start the day off right. And I warmly invite you to come and join me with that. Take a big breath with me. We'll all start the day feeling good together. You can tell me what you're grateful for as well, because I really do think that fostering a daily attitude of gratitude is really, really just good for the soul. It is a balm for the soul. The more you start to talk about what you're grateful for, the more you will notice that you are grateful for. It's about what's noticing what is in your life and not what isn't. And I think that that's a great thing to do at any time of year, but especially in January. So come and let me know what you're grateful for. I always love to hear it. But until I see you then, you have yourself a magical week.